The CSDN, the Civil Society Dialogue Network, is a mechanism for dialogue between civil society and EU policymakers on issues related to peace and conflict. It brings together civil society representatives whose work is related to peace building with policymakers from the European institutions and European member states. The overall aim or objective of the CSDN is to contribute to strengthening EU and civil society capacities to anticipate, analyse, respond and prevent the threats to stability and human development which are posed by violent conflict and crisis. The CSDN enables civil society representatives from Europe and the EU partner countries to share their analysis and recommendations with the policymakers who develop the EU's policies relevant to peace building. The EU has a number of legal obligations to consult civil society in the preparation, programming, implementation and the monitoring of its external assistance. It recognizes that its policies have to be informed by the people who are affected by them, including the populations of conflict-affected countries. The European Union is the world's major provider of development aid and an important international actor in the promotion of peace. The European Union's policies affect the lives of people all over the world. The CSDN is intended to ensure civil society input into EU policymaking with a view to maximizing the effectiveness of EU support for peace building. By providing a structured format for dialogue, the CSDN ensures that discussions take place at the appropriate moment in the policy process. It also ensures that the discussions involve relevant EU policymakers and civil society representatives, and that they are consistently focused on the most important issues. The CSDN is co-financed by the EU through its instrument contributing to stability and peace and EPLO, the European Peacebuilding Liaison Office. The CSDN is managed by EPLO in cooperation with the EC, the European Commission, and the EEAS, the European External Action Service. EPLO is the largest network of European peacebuilding civil society organizations. It's responsible for the overall management of the CSDN and the organization of all events and related activities. Its 34 members are active in all conflict-affected regions in the world. Those organizations are based in 13 European countries. EPLO's headquarters are in Brussels, and EPLO has over 15 years of experience of working on EU policies relevant to peace building. CSDN events fall into 5 categories: policy meetings, geographic meetings, funding instrument meetings, member state meetings and training seminars. Most CSDN events take place in Brussels, but they can also be organised in other EU member states or elsewhere. Policy meetings are focused on specific thematic issues related to peace building. Geographic meetings are focused on a specific country or region. Funding instruments meetings are focused on the EU's external funding instruments. Member state meetings take place in other EU member states, which is to say, not in Brussels. In addition to the dialogue meetings, the CSDN can also be used to organise training seminars in order to increase civil society representatives' knowledge and understanding of the EU's peace-building policies and practices. Proposals for CSDN events come from civil society representatives and EU policymakers. The selection of topics for meetings is made by a management committee consisting of representatives of EPLO, the EC and the EEAS. Once approved, meetings are scheduled to take place at the most appropriate time and location and with the optimum number of participants. Once the timing and location of a meeting have been set, EPLO asks its member organizations, other civil society organizations and the various EU policymakers involved to provide suggestions for potential participants who are then selected on the basis of a number of criteria. Meeting agendas are developed jointly by EPLO and the various EU policymakers involved. The meetings are managed by moderators and facilitators. CSDN events have three main outputs: meeting reports, recommendations for EU policymakers, and discussion papers. Meeting reports are prepared after each dialogue meeting. They are intended to capture the main points of the discussions and the recommendations that have been provided. Key recommendation documents include all of the recommendations made in each dialogue meeting. In addition to policy recommendations, they can also include suggestions for follow-up activities. Discussion papers draw on one or more themes discussed in a dialogue meeting. They are intended to inform future debates. Need more information? Please contact us at our office in Brussels. You can also check out our website and, of course, you can consult our Facebook page and follow us on Twitter.